As an artist and inquiry-based educator, I care deeply about the value of an education in the arts. I believe in using the right tools and teaching strategies to satisfy each individual student, irrespective of their cultural background. I have over the years developed cross-curricular activities like the STEM approach to learning, which has yielded great confidence and a great sense of pride in the lives of each student. My key educational philosophy is helping students reach their potential by adopting a differentiated style of pedagogy to suit all learning styles. I am currently a graduate student studying MEd Educational Technology in the Memorial University of Newfoundland and Cape Breton University in Canada. Help me welcome Mr. Kingsley.
Thank you so much. I know we are all tired, so I promise you, I might do just 15 minutes or so. But if you guys are interested in what we see here and you want us to go further, that'll be fine. I want to start by saying that every teacher is an artist. We are all creators, true or false? Yes. No single teacher here can tell me that in the course of teaching, they have never illustrated or demonstrated something artistic. Though some will tell me that they are not that talented. But at least you can use your chalk's marker to do something. And as we went through the classes, we saw how teachers were trying their best. And I give that kudos to everyone. So what I am here to do is, I know not everyone teaches. How many teachers teach BDT? Or how do we say? Okay, 1, 2. Only 2, 3. Okay, yeah. And I'm so happy. Yesterday when we were interacting with teachers, they told me that they are able to multitask. One term they are teaching this, the other term they are teaching that. You might never know the next school you go, or even right within the school, when you'll be made a teacher of BDT. So I believe that this is quite relevant for all of us, okay? So assessing strategies for art integration and STEAM. So integration in the sense that, as I said, in science, even in English, you see that there are some form of art that you create to reinforce learning. As we said, people are visual learners. Sometimes you have read the comprehension, but they don't understand. So you might just demonstrate for them to understand, so that we cut across all learning styles. Okay. Okay, so we've introduced myself. Okay. So assessment is a measurement of growth. So before a child enters your class, they are at this stage. Before a child leaves your class, they must advance. If they are still at one position, you, the teacher, have failed. True or false? Now, evaluation is a judgment of mastery. So now, after the child have moved from one level to the other, now you assess how were they able to move. Were they able to move faster? Did they adapt any skill in movement? So that is evaluation. So you see that in most schools, after assessment, you evaluate to see that has the child gain skills, gain after the growth, what impact has actually gone on. So when we assess art integration, we are looking to see how a student's understanding and application of knowledge evolve over time. Assessment is about the process, not the end product. So as a teacher, you don't blame yourself if you are not able, like some teachers are always in a state of dilemma. Okay, we are learning photosynthesis, right? How should a child draw the plant, the leaves? The child is unable to do it. Forgetting that if a child starts learning about the photosynthesis, as they go on in GSS, even in SS, they are going to meet it again. And so knowledge is reinforced. That's why they say assessment is not about the end product, but the process. You started something. That is why when our brother was talking, he was saying that, how do teachers collaborate? Okay? This child is moving from P1 to P2. Does the P2 teacher know something that you, the teacher, you must help? Do you get it? Oh, this student A, B, they are auditory learners. This is a visual learner. So that when the child comes to class, the teacher doesn't use so many hours to understand each child. So I believe that we should work in that format. Assessment for learning visual. You know, visual art is about vision. Okay, so direct observation is one key thing. Oral discussion, like what I'm doing here. So everyone, let's observe. How do we draw a tree? They draw a tree. How do you draw a fruit? They draw a fruit. So that is that. We have curator's note. So sometimes as the professional teacher, you go around just as we did the expectations. You make some certain remarks. Oh, this is how you draw the stem of a tree, or this is how you draw the leaves. So checklist. You have an itinerary of the day. You check which one you're able to cover and which ones you were not able to do. So at each week, you can make short-term plan or long-term plans. So at the end of the day, this is where I want my kids to be. Oh, I was able to achieve 2, or the child was able to achieve 2. No rush. You what? You allow time and process. Then rubrics, what to do at the end or sometime before. At the end of the day, this is the expectation you tell the child. And we'll be trying some rubrics here. Praise, polish, and ponder. That is what I mostly do with my kids. Even if a child is not doing well, you praise the child, okay? And you bring the child's mind back. That can we do it this way? You are polishing the child and you ponder. Do you have any other ideas? And mostly as teachers or, yes, you always use concrete evidence, things that they see around them in the classroom or outside, to make that emphasis. So essential questions that needs to be asked. What do students need to know and be able to do? Yeah. So we often say your lesson should be tailor-made. Do you get it? What you taught last year shouldn't be the same thing you're teaching. I remember in SS, my SS science teacher has got these started books that he brings. You could see that he has been making reference to that book for 20 years. Sometimes he doesn't even open it. He said, write notes, and he's verbatim. He's just, you check word for word. He has chewed the entire note, and he thinks that makes him a professional. No. As a teacher, you need to upgrade yourself every time. Every time upgrade. Don't say, I am here, so I'm not going to upgrade. Most of us, I have taught in the village before I moved to the city. You never know where you're going to be, because I believe that as a teacher, you should be compared to any other teacher, either in Accra, whether in the US, whether everywhere. Before I started my master's, I've never traveled. But because I am always learning what is current, in the class of the white people, they were surprised how I could contribute. Do you get it? Now, internet is an open library. You don't pay. You don't pay to get news. You don't pay to learn your own. Mr. Barnes said he never did maths, but he can teach maths. You go on the internet. I know people didn't know how to sew, but they learned it on YouTube. They didn't know how to cook, but they learned that style there. Braid hair. So please, there's no excuse for everyone. How will you know students have learned? So you as a teacher, you devise strategies to test whether truly a child has learned. How will you respond when students have not learned? That is a very challenging thing for most of us. Sometimes teachers, your response when a child, I remember in SS, a teacher, social studies teacher, came to teach us. And after the lesson, someone just raised their hand. They just thought he was going to ask. He said the whole show. I didn't understand anything. The teacher almost threw his shoe at the student. But so how do you handle as teachers? You know, if we had time, I would have picked some teachers and you tell me how you handle students who doesn't show any signs of any impact. Like you've not, they are just looking at you, but you ask them questions, they are just looking at you. Say, go and come. All right. How will you respond when students already know what we intend to teach? I think our brother, someone said that a child is a high ability. What you are teaching, they know it. You ask questions, they are always raising their hands. They don't even allow the others to answer. How do you handle such a child? You see, that child needs to be challenged more so that they are always engaged. I had a headmaster, whenever he enters your class and people are talking, he said, you are the failure because that child's energy is being directed somewhere else. If you are giving him more tasks to do, that child will be focused. These are so long. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through, okay? So your assessment aligned. You need to align your assessment. We talk about diagnostic, formative, and summative. Yeah, you must ensure that all these three are concurrently playing, okay? So that diagnostic, how do you assess a child before they come? Prior knowledge, what have they learned? You see, the formative, as they come, what you are teaching, are they able to practicalize it in their life? And summative, at the end of the day, all that you've taught, different, how are they able to put it together to make some impact? This is where we lose sight that at the end of their life in the real world, that is what Africa is failing to do. And that's what I realized in the course of my master's, educational technology, that they are not mindful of the theory. Because always the professors are telling us, how does it affect our communities? How does it affect the very people who surround us? And that's what made me fall in love with STEAM. Because STEAM education is all about how you are imparting. The white people are always inventing. He is a math teacher, but he has been able to use that math to build an engine. We have professors, they have taught in the university all this year, they can't even create a boat. We have IT, they've not even learned how to produce an app or a software. Yet they believe that all the masters and PhD they've got, it is meaningless. So let us see how best we are able to align everything. So you see, you're testing knowledge to see what knowledge are they bringing so that you know a teacher where to add. So sometimes you create this one, say complete this butterfly by using bilateral symmetry. So here math is involved, symmetry. At the same time, this can be used in the science subjects. In my class as an art teacher, I always want to reinforce learning. So before every term, I would want to know what a teacher is teaching in math, teacher is teaching in science, even in geography. And as an art teacher, I am going to reinforce whatever I'm teaching with all this. So if they are doing angles, I know we do shapes in art too, so that we use triangles, geometric shapes. There are artists who have mastered the art of using shapes, circles to draw, so that it reinforces knowledge. Those students who love art, when they come and you reinforce, when they get back, they say, oh, we did this in art, and it helps them in understanding. So as a diagnostic, you can use this, and it's going to help a lot. There are a lot, but this is just an example. Formative, student observations, homework reflection journals, Socratic discussions, student-teacher conference, and this is very important. In our school, we do that. So you need to organize student-teacher conference. Like they sit down, they address what are their problems, challenges. A teacher also tells them, because sometimes we don't involve the case that we are teaching. They are out of the equation. We don't even have a conference for them to know what their problems are. Do you get it? So informal presentation, portfolios ongoing, project phases submitted over time, think, pair, share, visual thinking strategies, critiques. Okay. So as part of formative, this is what you can do. You can, in the course of lesson, sometimes to test knowledge, you can give a general question for all students to do. Okay, so with this one, he said, draw someone who looks like you. Okay, so you draw someone who looks like you. So, maybe some of your students have long hairs, they draw it and everything. At the end of the day, you will see that you're going to see kids who are critical thinkers, because aside drawing themselves, they are able to add the environment, you see, to it. So you know those who are deep thinkers. Someone will just draw the face round like that with our hair and everything, so you know those people who are critical thinkers from those who are not. Sorry. This is also an example. Draw an environment or a landscape, let me see. And from there, you could test knowledge to also see how critical some people are. And as an art teacher, I always incorporate some of the things that we do, like color, texture, value, space, line, and shapes to reinforce learning. And peer assessment is also very critical. Like when a child, when they finish, you let them swap questions, and whilst you are explaining, while you are marking, and it helps them. Sometimes say, oh, okay, this was the answer. And you know, kids learn best when they interact among themselves. Exactly, because sometimes the words that you use are too big for them, but they understand in their own languages. So summative, high stake test, like what we said, the WASI and all that, because it's a national thing you need to pass before you can move to the next phase. Multiple choice checklists, portfolios can be used here again, performances. So I always say it's not everything that you do on paper. Sometimes it's demonstration, it's practicalizing. Do you get it? Sometimes school will say that, oh, you need to do the exams, multiple choice. What? That's why the science questions. A whole lot for a child to. And when a child is sweaty, that's what the teacher says, oh, I'm punishing them. That is not how you impart. Oh. You can use so many ways. Project-based learning, you know. At the end of the day, let them do a project that incorporates both science, art, and all that. Teacher-created tests, essays, capstone projects. Yeah, and this is an example of rubrics, and it's very important at the end of the day. So you let a child know that neatness and presentation of work will amount to this, maybe 5 points, 4 points. You create rubrics with them so that they self-assess themselves. At the end of the day, when they look at their own work, this can be used mostly in science, in art, in geography, where it has to do with more illustrations. They look at the content, what they've been able to create to see how best they've met the criteria. Yeah, the project base I talked about. You know, I love when kids collaborate, do group work, project based, because you see, that way they are teaching themselves unknowingly. And this has been based on several theories that have been propelled, you know. Over the years, Finland, the educational system was very low on the belt. So what they did was, I think, I've forgotten the one who came out with that theory. I think he's Finnish. He said that rather than following what the Western world is doing, why don't we create our own learning style? So what they did was, is it time? It's time? Oh, they say my time is up.
Let's just end.
Oh, okay. So,
another 10 hours.
So what happened was, he proposed something to the government, and the government felt that, no, this doesn't make sense. What he said was, let us move the classroom outside. So what do you mean? I said, yes. When a child comes, they just come, socialize for about 20 minutes. Now they spend the rest of the days playing. We are not going to give any homeworks again. So how will the child learn? Because all that we know is a child must write. He said no. So what they did was, the guy created a model. Just like our educational minister has created STEM-based schools now to do pilot basis. What he did was, they created the whole school. Now when you go to the school, there are no desks like you see over here. There are mats that people sit there, okay? Now, he created the classroom not to be a conducive place where you can relax. And on the outdoors, like where the playgrounds are, they intentionally created activities that are based on each subject. So, a form of play that is more about carpentry. You go electronic side, childs are playing, you see, arranging logos, building, as if they are playing. So that in their formative stages, what they do was, they had cameras all over, monitoring each child and their abilities. You will see that a child will navigate towards one area more. Anytime they go out, he goes to the electronic side. So they were picking them one after the other. Now, as they grew up, now they placed them into areas of interest and not areas that they did not find it interesting. Those who love sport were always going to the b-ball court to play. So you don't worry that child more with mass. You let them learn the fundamentals just for life. Now you groom them and it worked for them. To the extent that America sent delegations, because America had also piloted something they called No Child Left Behind. Because in their standardized tests across the state, they were failing abysmally. And mostly in the deprived areas, the children were not performing. Meanwhile, they wanted them to perform equally with those affluent places. It wasn't working. And so they even went and understood it. So when you go, just Google on the Finnish educational system, you will learn a lot. I think that is what our minister wants to pilot here. But he's facing a lot of heckles. People don't want to agree that they still want to do the textbook thing.
Before you move,
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm a Finnish education fanatic.
Yeah.
I'm a fanatic of everything. It is number one in the world. It's ranked number one because in the system, no child is misplaced. No child. That's why the unemployment rate. If you look at just Google the unemployment rate.
Yeah. Everyone is working.
Everyone is working. Because through schooling, everyone is playing their streams.
Yeah.
For the first 7 years of learning, first 9 years of learning, you're just teaching and learning.
Yeah.
They are only assessed when they get to number 15, where they write the test. And the purpose of that test is not to see who's smart, who's not smart, but to stream them, to put them into the correct stream. It's really, Finnish education system, if you can read on it, you'll go crazy.
And that's what Africa needs for industrialization drive. We talk about we want to move from primary commodity to a secondary commodity. How does it work when the resources, the manpower are not equipped? Our students are turning up engineers, mathematics, but they cannot convert it into anything. So we need a total overhaul of whatever we do. So to sum up, here are some things to consider when creating assessment to demonstrate student growth. Assign the same or similar tasks in order to compare. So apples to apples, like compare two variables. Keep related pieces of work so you and the student can see the progress and growth over time, both in the work, if that is possible, and on the assessment. So, like, if you're testing them with one particular assessment, stick to that. You know, when I was explaining, there are so many of them. Today you don't practice peer review. The other day you do this. It's good to test that, but let's stick to one so that the child is always abreast what you want to do. Calibrate the use of the assessment so you and the student all understand what is acceptable. So that's why I say sometimes there's no cohesion. The student doesn't know what the teacher intends to do. A teacher enters the class, the student doesn't even have an idea of what they are going to study. You know? And so, how are they prepared? I believe that before you leave each class, you tell them that, look, this is what we've done. When we come back tomorrow, this is where we are going to continue. Go and read more about that. It prepares the child. They come into the class very confident, you know. But when a teacher doesn't have a grasp of his own material, he doesn't even know what he's teaching tomorrow. You know, because the head is not even evaluating the teacher to see whether they are really imparting or not. But you don't have to wait till your superiors come. I said teaching is just like what the doctors do. You are providing a lifeline to someone. So if you are shortchanging a child, tomorrow it will tell on you. How many teachers are so proud when they see their kids turning up to be good people in the society? Oh, you met, so I'm the doctor here at Ho Municipal Clinic. You taught me. I'm the engineer working on this road. You are proud, that intrinsic joy. You get it. So I believe that we need to deliberate. That's what our brother was saying. Sometimes I know you guys are not paid well, but even the little you have, you should dip into your hand if it's supporting the cause that you're doing. We believe that human beings cannot pay us the way we want. As for a teacher, it is God who rewards us. Yeah. Is in heaven, is he? Okay.
One thing, sometimes because we like to learn on our own.
Can we share this?
Even give the textbooks to the children because you are so focused on the textbook, and that is exactly what you have to tell them. So normally we don't even give the parents access to where they can find the books to buy for the children to even read before coming, because you, the teacher, haven't done any research or inquiry on what you're come to teach. It is just exactly what's in the textbook that you're come to deliver. So if the child gives you the answer from the textbook, that means there's nothing for you to teach again. So let's encourage each other to explore more. As you said, there's internet and all other things around. So let's explore.
Okay, so please, the white paper is we're going to do a quick activity. I have picked one of the forms of assessment, and we will test ourselves. So the question is on the board. Draw a house in an environment. Simple as that. Please, can we move on? Yes. Okay, so what I would like you to do is exchange what you've done with the person next to you. Yes. Give your work to the other person. Okay. So we are doing peer review now. Okay. So have you changed? Oh, some people have not changed though. Those who have changed, oh, we want to start the same. Can you change it? Yeah. Please, let's be fair to those who have changed. Wherever you've read, just swap, just swap, just swap, just swap. Okay, if you swap, let me see it by hands, please. If you're swapped, hey, some people have refused to swap. Don't worry, there are no cases here. You are not killing anybody. Okay, so now everyone has swapped down. Okay, so who drew like this? Who did only this on the paper? Okay, let's clap for ourselves. We passed. Who added windows? Added doors? Okay, let me see. Give them +5. If you added windows, doors, windows, doors, and the roof. You decorated the roof. Yes, give 5. We are going, no, we are not there yet. Okay. Those who added trees, grass, mountains, give them another 5, make it 10. Yeah. And lastly, if we had colors, would have seen those who have painted so well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's clap for ourselves. We've done well.